Okay, here we're going to take a look at finishing this chart of accounts where we've put in the beginning balances. We'll finish that up, and then we'll go on and put in the vendors and customers. So when we were finishing the previous video, part 1, we had put in purchase discounts. Since that was a contra expense, we had to put in that as a minus. We only have 2 more accounts. We have wages expense, which is a regular expense, so that's a debit, and telephone expense, which is $1,200, and that would be a regular debit too. Now, when you're done, you want to make sure that the total debits equal the total credits, and the trial balance is out of balance 0. And it tells you the difference is going to post to beginning balance equity. In other words, they're going to make up this new account and just stick the difference in there. So when I see beginning balance equity come up on your trial balance, I know you didn't do these beginning balances correctly. Okay, so always make sure your trial balance says 0, that you don't have a beginning balance equity, your total debits equal your total credits. If they don't, then you have a problem. Okay, so here we're good to go, and we're going to say okay. Okay, we can close out of that. And now if you take a look at your view and edit accounts, you see all the balances. You can double check them, make sure that they are the way they're supposed to be. These ones in parentheses in red means those are credit balances. It doesn't mean they're negative. It means they're credit balances, and the ones that are in black are debit balances. So you can check that out, or of course you can pull up a trial balance that would show the same accounts and what their balances are. So either way, you would be able to double check those before you go on. Okay, so I'm going to close that out. Now at this point in time, we want to put in the vendors and customers. Okay, and so I'm going to start with the vendors. I go to the vendors screen, and I put in, under the vendors icon, and new vendor. Okay, now we need a vendor ID for each vendor. So you can decide how you want to do that yourself. I did not give you, or nor do I have in any of these projects where I tell you what to use as the vendor ID. You can use a number, or you can make up a name. So the first vendor on my list for Orangeburg Flower Shop is Vases, etc. So I'm going to use all caps, VASES, okay, and just use the first name of it. Then under name, you put in the actual name, Vases, comma, etc. Okay, and so now you're good to go. Of course, you could put in addresses if this was real life. I don't expect you to have to do that on these projects. Got to have a vendor ID, you must have, and you have to have a name. Now, here's a thing in blue, it says expense account. So what they mean is, okay, this is a vendor. We purchase stuff from this vendor. What are the kinds of things we purchase? Do we purchase office supplies? Do we purchase equipment? Do we purchase inventory? Okay, so in this case, in this demonstration, all of the vendors are vendors that we purchase inventory from that we're going to turn around and resell. If this were a perpetual inventory system, then we would need to debit inventory every time we purchase inventory from Vases, etc. But in this case, Orangeburg Flower Shop is a periodic system for their inventory. That means every time we purchase inventory, from a vendor, we're going to debit purchases. So this expense account, what they're asking is, when we buy something from vases, etc., what account do you want to debit? Okay, we know that if you're buying on account from vases, etc., and you're purchasing something, we're going to credit accounts payable. We already know that. Sage 50 knows that. That's why you're setting it up as a vendor, so they automatically know that when you purchase something on account, to credit accounts payable. But what they don't know is what you want to debit. And so, since this is a periodic system, what we want to debit is purchases. Okay? So we need to put that in there. Now, if there's ever any time, let's say 95% of the time, when we buy something from vases, we are going to debit purchases because it's inventory that we're buying. But there was this one time when we wanted to purchase, vases had some old equipment, flower store equipment that we wanted, and so we, that one time, wanted to show equipment. Well, you can, when you get to the invoice, you can change it. This is not set in stone that forever after only the purchases account can be debited. This just means that, you know, a large percentage of the time we're going to debit purchases if we buy something on account from vases. And so it's going to be already set up on the invoice. We don't have to keep typing it in. All right. So there's our general tab. Okay. We're also going to check on the purchase info tab. And vases, etc., doesn't have any special terms, so that means it's net due in 30 days, which is what our default is already set at. So we can just leave it there. If we had to change that, which we will for the next one I put in, then we can down arrow here and change this. The other tab I'm going to use is the history tab, and I'm going to go down to the vendor beginning balance. It's going to ask me, do we want to save the record first? Yes, we want to save it. Okay, then it wants the invoice number, and according to the Word document, remember all the stuff that I'm putting in is from the Word document. Okay, so from the Word document, it is invoice 1234, and it was from September 29th of 2022. We don't need a purchase order number. If you have one, you can put it in there. Otherwise, you can just skip that space and go to amount, and that was $31.20. Then it wants to know which account, payable account, are we going to use. Sometimes there can be more than one, but we only have one, which is accounts payable, account 202. Okay, so now we're going to say save and close. Okay, all right. So now we're going to go ahead. We have 3 more to put in, so we'll say save and new. The next one is Jill Hand, so I'm going to put in Hand, Jill Hand. Okay, is the name. Okay, under general, whenever we buy something, again, it's inventory, so we're going to debit purchases. Now, with Jill Hand, there's a normal terms of 210 net 30. So this is only saying it's net due in 30 days with no discount. Okay, so I'm going to click this down arrow and say customize terms for this vendor. Okay, it still is due in 30 days, but I'm going to click on use discounts. The discount is in 10 days, and the discount percentage is 2.0. Okay. And so there we go there. And we can say save. Okay, and then we can go into history and vendor beginning balance. Okay, the invoice number is 456. The date was September 30th. The amount was $500. And accounts payable is here. Okay, and so we say save and close. And up here now we have everything in that we want, so we say save and new. The next one is flour wholesalers. Put that in as flour W. Flour wholesalers. Okay, again, for their expense account, we're going to say purchases because we buy inventory from them. Okay, and they are also 210 net 30. So I'm going to go here, customize, due still in 30 days, use discounts. In 10 days, it's going to be 2%. Save, go to history, beginning balance. That was invoice number 987 from September 15th of 22. And the amount is $1,500. And accounts payable. Okay, and save, close, save and new. Okay, next one is Seidel. Seidel Enterprises, and they're also purchases. We purchase inventory from them. The terms for that company are 215 net 30. So I'm going to go into customize. Okay, use discounts. Discounts in 15 days, and that's 2%. And we say save. Now, in this case, with Seidel Enterprises, there is no beginning balance. And so we can just go ahead and say close because we already said save on it. Okay, we also need to put in customers, and for the video I'm just going to put in one customer. So I go under customer and sales, under customer management. Let me see here. Yes. All right. So I have to use customer management, but they don't have okay, under customer ID, and I will finish this on the next video, but under customer ID, we can click on that down arrow, and then, since there's nothing there to choose from, we want to put a new one in, we can click on new. Okay. Now, our customer, first customer, David's decorating. Okay,